Word, bucket.
Hey man, welcome in.
Cool. So, bucket man, how you doing?
Tired, but I'm doing good. You?
I'm excited and just doing great. So obviously, we're in Laundry here in Portland. Probably one of my favorite spots in town, without a shadow of a doubt. Just ripe with a bunch of culture, a bunch of just awesome vintage sportswear. And I'm glad this is your first time in here, so I'm glad to have you in here. But into the nitty gritty, obviously there might be some people, you're relatively new to Portland, new to the organization. If you want to just give us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Dorian, but I go by Walking Bucket, aka King Bucket. Portland, though, it's a vibe, to be honest with you. I remember I told you when I first got out here, I wasn't open-minded about the city or the culture at all, because it's a culture shock. It's totally different, because I'm from California, so it's, I would say people in Portland are more open and, friendly, and in Cali's kind of more like, to yourself and cold shoulder, so it's a culture shock, but I enjoy it, though.
Nice. So, you grew up in LA.
Yes, sir.
What was the culture like down there? Specifically the sneaker culture. I've been down to LA a bunch of times, and I feel like you get a little bit of something different every time you're down there. So what was it like actually growing up there?
I feel like LA is like one of the more diverse sneaker cultures. Obviously, everybody can bring up Vans, which is obviously one of the, key pieces in Cali. Vans, Chucks, whatever. I remember in middle school, it was a phase of people wearing Toms. So I know you remember that. Toms, J's. J's always been a thing, but I feel like in high school, like my sophomore year, I feel like people were just only wearing J's. Like that was just all you would see. Like you would just see a bunch of like 10s. It was like, I remember 10s were dropping, so I seen like powder blue 10s, and those first came out. And then I remember it was this kid named Jordan. He's like one of the first ones I seen out of school wearing like the retros, like not the newer pieces. Cause I had retros too, but I just never brought them out. So I was like, oh, okay, so he up to game. And so then as the years just went on, people just started getting hip, and the sneaker culture just kind of expanded in Cali.
What was like your first pair of like sneakers?
My first pair of sneakers. Bordeaux 7s. That was like my first pair, and I was 9.
How were you feeling? Once you had them in hand, how were you feeling? Because I know the first time I got a pair of Jordans, I was like, yo, this is different.
Yeah, because I was wearing a lot of like, my dad used to keep me in Chucks. That's what he was wearing. He was like, I'm gonna wear, put you in Chucks. But I was like, well, I can at least wear the low top Chucks or the high tops. Like, I was wearing shorts and stuff during that time. So I was like, I don't want to wear the high tops because I'm choking my shoes up like clown shoes. So I was wearing like Chucks. But when I first got some J's, I was like, all right, like I'm finally like in the mix. I felt like that at that age. I was like, finally. So like ever since then, I just kind of been addicted to like just shoes in general. I wasn't really like too into fashion, anything like that. Cause I was a kid. It wasn't like that was the main thing I was focused on. I just wanted to go play. So when I first got those, and as the years went on, as I just started paying attention to the sneaker culture, I kind of just became addicted, I can't lie.
Transitioning from just that kind of fashion side of shoes, you played basketball damn near your whole life. What were the go-to shoes to hoop in?
All right, my favorite shoe to play in terms of like comfort and just what suited me the most were KD 7s. When KD 7s first dropped, I don't know, I was going crazy with those, especially the global games, the all red joints. When those first came out, I was like, I need those. But I played in Kobe's. I played in J's, but you can't play in all Jordans. I tell people all the time. Like the favorite J for me to play in was 10s. 10s was just super comfy. I was able to move and just still look good in the process. Cause kind of flex, you know what I mean? Like you put on some J's in the game, you kind of flex.
Especially if they're fresh. That's when it's
brand
actually
new.
A big flex.
I'm saying brand new, straight out the box. I'm just gonna put these on. They ain't really seen these yet. I probably wore them one time on campus, but just put them on. They like, hey, you playing with some J's? I'm like, why you doing that? So those probably the only ones I really played in, like 10s. I played in 3s. It wasn't it.
So were there any like grails when it comes to like performance shoes that you just couldn't get your hands on or still kind of keeping an eye out for? Because I know me growing up, it was the Aunt Pearls, the KDs. Those, everybody was either after, trying to get. Obviously, growing up, it's not like you're making your own money, so you're like, oh, I really want these shoes, I promise. But were there anything that stood out for you growing up?
Actually, it was LeBron. It was the South Beaches. I wanted the South Beaches so bad. It's probably the only Bron shoe that I was like fiending over. I was like, I could just put those on anything, just put on some South Beaches and just walk around in them. It don't even matter what you're wearing. Because with shoes, they complement the fit. You can wear anything, to be honest with you. Like, you don't have no clothes on. People just gonna see your shoes. And then they'll look up and be like, oh, you don't got no clothes on. But shoes, like, they complement the whole fit.
Yeah.
So I feel like with those shoes, like that blue, that pink, and I don't even like bronze like that, but I was just like, I ain't gonna lie, those are the ones.
So, I mean, for you, you're in a unique position where you play basketball your whole life, and now you're a 2K League pro.
What a transition.
Yeah, so you got both sides of that. Obviously, when you're suiting up for an actual game, you kind of pick out your shoes, everything, but you got the same luxury in 2K. Are there any shoes that you just like gravitate towards when it comes to 2K, for my player, for the league, or anything?
Any Kobe 8, like I said, any Kobe 8 or Kobe 7. Kobe 9s too. Any Kobe though, I'll put my player in just Kobe's, because that's what I just wore, so. I try to stick with the theme, like that's what I came up in, make sure my player kind of follow that same story. So any Kobe though, from 7 to 9.
Speaking of just shoes in general, obviously it looks like a pretty big impact on your life. I know for me, it was always kind of a battle to see if I wanted to camp out for something or not. You ever camp out for anything? And if so, what was that experience like? Because I hear the horror stories and I hear the people 5 a.m., all right, let me go suit up, camp out.
I camped out twice. My first time camping out was my sophomore year with my friend Victoria, and I think that's when the Gamblers came out. And we camped out, and it was different. Like, it was chaotic. We was in Santa Monica. We were just trying to see, like, where we gonna camp out at? I don't know why we didn't go somewhere closer, but we was in Santa Monica, and we was there just the whole time. And I was like, I don't even think we're gonna get our hands on them. But we did. And the crazy thing with those Gammas is that those shoes got stolen from me. They actually got stolen from me at school, like, I wanna say a year later. And I was so hurt, because that's one of my favorite 11s. My favorite 11 is Cool Grays, but the Gammas, it was like you said, it was a gray, it was a gem. So when I got my hands on those, I was like, I felt flexed out.
So, I mean, as far as for you, do you have any like significant like sneaker stories? Obviously, there's a horror story with the Gammas, but is there anything, like any specific pair that like holds any more weight for you?
It's kind of like a horror story too with these shoes. It's a basketball shoe. It's the ID Zeros. And if you know, that's Derrick Rose's shoe.
Yeah.
And he kind of I won't say he put Adidas on the map, but with that shoe alone, it was kind of like taking off more and more. So it's like the performance shoes.
Yeah, I remember stepping into the gym and seeing an entire team willingly have just nothing but D Roses.
Right.
So that year, 3 years was crazy, because again, everything is set aside. ID Zeros, D Roses, that was everything.
That's why I be saying with shoes, like everything is like, I mean, not even just for shoes, but clothing in general, like things are such a trend. But like you said, with that shoe, like it was just, different. It had the game on a chokehold. Like I said, every gym you would go in, you would see ID Zeros. I had ID Zeros. I remember when I first got them, because D-Rose was one of my favorite players.
Oh yeah, same here.
And Derrick Rose actually got hurt in ID Zeros. Well, I got hurt in ID Zeros. So then I was thinking like, damn. I was like, we really are connected. I was like, me and him. But that shoe was a gem. Like when it comes to performance shoes in general, like it's actually a gem. It's one of the underrated like sneakers that to play in.
I know like the community aspect of sneakers is absolutely insane. Like having that type of connection with people is wild sometimes. And it's like pretty unique. Obviously we're in the gaming ecosystem and we're kind of in that space. But it's interesting to see kind of how that varies with sneaker culture and that sneaker community. Speaking about the people that you camped out with, were there any other like bonds that you like truly like saw flourish like through sneakers?
Yeah, the person I camped out with, like we connected through sneakers. Like I remember, because he transferred to the school, like he was from the Bay and he was new to the school, and we had video production together. Yeah. And I remember he was like, can I join y'all group to work on a video? And we was like, yeah, whatever. And during class, we'd get in trouble because instead of editing, we were like going through like, you know, sneaker stores and looking at shoes and stuff. And I remember he was like, yeah, I like those. We were just always talking about them. So we just bonded through that. Me, him, my friend Michael, James, like that was just our thing. And we just, ever since then, like sneakers literally made us friends. Like I got a few people like that where we're just like, we connected just off of shoes alone because we had the same interests, and it was like, oh, okay, you really into shoes. Because during that time in high school, like we would talk about shoes like all day.
Oh yeah.
That's not the only topic. Like we would just wake up.
That's video games, shoes, girls.
Video games, shoes, girls, and sports wasn't even coming up like that. And I played sports, like, that was my thing, but we were just talking about shoes all day. Like waiting for the forwards to drop, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. We gonna go out and get these. So nah, shoes definitely have made the relationships. And I still have those same relationships because of shoes.
Well, again, Bucket, I just want to thank you. You've been great. And again, I've really enjoyed kind of like the kind of the friendship that we've been able to build since we
sir.
came into market. So again, I appreciate you being on Beliefs, man.
Bless you. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you.